Hey everybody, listen to the JMCC Podcast for the week of November 6th, 2014. This week our first topic and possibly our only topic for this podcast is Youmacon 2014. If you guys are actually watching this, you notice these are just all our picks. So even if we switch topics, it's just going to be all our pictures from Youmacon. So you can keep watching and mute it if you like and just put on some anime music. You just get all of our pictures, cool cosplays, and a couple where we actually met some of the voice actors. I'll put mine in there where I met Ian Sinclair with Space Dandy. But I thought it was a good convention this year. The one real issue was no schedule in the actual book. But other than that, I was able to, I didn't have too many big issues with it. So what do you guys think about it, though?
I thought it would be a good idea to print out a copy of the schedule before heading down to the thing. It turns out I was right.
Yeah. I just had it on my smartphone. They had a Wi-Fi connection there, so it worked out.
Yeah, mine would constantly go in and out. I normally go to the hotel lobby because you get free Wi-Fi there. Because if you're in the rooms, you have to pay for the guest Wi-Fi, and it wasn't working in the lobby like it normally does. Because I was trying to upload a review I did that day, I think, for Legend of Korra. So it was I couldn't do that. And then it took me forever to get a free Wi-Fi connection that was actually fast enough. Mm-hmm. And then using my phone definitely didn't work for me. I tried downloading it, but my phone's dumb, so it temporarily downloads PDFs, and it just won't save it directly to my phone.
Yeah. On the topic of the schedule and everything, I remember grabbing the booklet. It's okay, why would I take that schedule when I have the booklet here? Opening up oh, that's why. That was kind of weird, they had it like that, but not that big of a setback, I guess, for the most part. It's a little something.
Yeah, I mean, the schedule is never up until 2 days before, but there have been other years where they've done the same thing and it's still in the book, but they probably, because I think the last time they did it where they didn't have the book was 3 years ago or something. Yeah. And it was they didn't have it until Friday at 3 or 4 or something. Yeah. And that was a big deal for people because it's there's no schedule and stuff.
Planning ahead, people. It's a good idea. It is.
Yeah, definitely.
I enjoyed the con though. I mean, one really big thing I noticed is that every panel was longer. There were no hour-long panels because that's how long they normally are. Everything's 1 hour. Mm-hmm. Everything was an hour and a half this year, which I thought was actually pretty cool because it lets people have longer panels. And if you like the panel, then you get to see a longer one. And plus, if there are two at the same time, instead of it being I get 30 here and 30 there, it's you can do 45 or so. And if you leave one and go back to the, go to the second.
When you're in one of those, it's not that hard to just stand up and leave anyway. So it's if you're bored of it, you just leave. Yeah. But if you want to stay there, clearly you just need the extra time. Yeah. But I'm wondering if it's why they extended it. It was a lack of panels or something like that. Because I know several different people who had been there previous years in Youmacon actually weren't there this year. I know that a friend of mine was a really big fan of Doctor Who, and they had a really big panel on that before, and they weren't there at all. There was nothing. If you look at the thing,
did they reportedly have a bad experience the first time around or something like that?
No, from everything I understand, there was no issue with them. They like Youmacon, so I'd say part of me wonders if it has something to do with the introduction of Midwest media, and if they just figured, it's more fitting of the genre instead of Youmacon, which is supposed to be an anime convention. They just decided, we'll just do that.
Switch it there.
I don't know the story.
I also noticed. I guess on the internet reviewer side, I noticed in the flyer for Midwest panel they had Doug Walker, the nostalgia critic, lined up as one of the guests. And I remember the last time he came was 2 years ago, and I remember because I had him sign my Patch Adams VHS. The only one who did show up was Linkara, and I know. I know the that guy with the glasses contributors aren't really big Youmacon contributors except for Linkara. He comes consistently. Doug's only appeared twice, and I think the only other guy was Angry Joe, and he only appeared 2009. In terms of other internet reviewers though, I don't think any of them even give a shit.
I think they like you mentioned, they're probably saving it more for Midwest because they definitely did that for like this year at Midwest. They had D Pity, who was like a famous Deadpool cosplayer on YouTube, and they had like just a lot of YouTube people come in for Midwest because it's
I guess
like
it's a broader spectrum
exactly.
rather than just exclusively anime.
Yeah.
Like I think I can understand why people do that because I think like what people have to also understand about Youmacon is that some people who like aren't huge anime fans also come there just because it's like a big nerd convention.
Yeah.
Like so I guess some people would probably prefer the Midwest panel because I guess it's more general than Youmacon is, but I guess you just gotta deal with that stuff.
What I do feel like, I kind of see why the point of Midwest Media came in because like I remember seeing so many different things on there that really weren't anime related, so it's like maybe they just consider the fact that there's so much stuff we need to separate it from it because it's practically snuffing out the anime, like there's so much of it. But like at the same time, I never saw it as a big deal. Like there was plenty of stuff to do, but there was plenty of stuff to do. If you missed something, there was something else to take its place. Well, 1,000 different possibilities, really.
Yeah, and I think that was one of the things this year that I noticed. It happened, I want to say maybe 2 years ago or 3 years ago, and it was the same type of thing. We were talking about the convention. Like, there wasn't really much I wanted to see as far as panels. We still had a ton of fun because it was like you saw the couple you wanted to see and they were good.
Yeah.
But like it's a good and bad with that because in one way it's like I don't have to constantly choose between two panels every single hour of every single day I go to the convention, which always sucks because it's like I literally miss like half the panels I wanted to see.
Yeah.
And in the same regard, it's kind of just you just get that feeling like there's less stuff. And even without that, there were definitely hours where there was nothing. Like Sunday, there was nothing I wanted to see except for a Sonic panel at like 5 p.m. And the same thing happened on Friday. Like I wasn't freaking out about getting my badge because I was like, I literally don't want to see anything until like 6 p.m. and there was a Toonami panel and I got to see it because there was nothing else I was interested in. But that's not to say that's not to of course speak for anybody else, but for me personally, and just it seemed like a lot of other people felt that way too.
My schedule, I found a lot of stuff I might have found interesting. Really, just days before I started highlighting things that I maybe kind of sort of might have been interested in.
Yeah.
And the next thing I know, I have a bunch of yellow spots all over my schedule.
Yeah.
Because I have 3 or 4 things in the same time slot.
Yeah, like when I looked, I only had like, I think there were maybe 2 or 3 situations where there was like 2 panels I really wanted to see at the same time. And one I missed, which was the voice acting versus stage acting. And that's because it like started late, so like I didn't know what the heck was happening with that because the 2 panels were like right next door. And then I ended up going to the Power Rangers panel first, and I was just like, this is so funny. I just ended up staying there the whole time. But for the most part, I saw everything I wanted to see. The only one I did miss, and we were talking about this before the panel, was the Five Nights at Freddy panel. And that was actually the longest line that I had to wait in. I was like, oh, it's really long. And I was just like,
Did you actually make it in? Oh, you didn't make it in time.
No, I went up there around the time it was starting. I didn't think it would be so incredibly popular because, like I know Five Nights at Freddy is super popular. It's a horror game. It would be like, like I would, like if you put like Five Nights at Freddy against like Outlast or something, I'd be like Outlast would get a much bigger panel. But at the same time, Five Nights at Freddy is much newer, especially with them having just announced like Five Nights at Freddy 2. That could have been just a whole nother reason. It was a long line, but I was like, well, it's a long line. It was like wrapping around, and I went somewhere I came back to see, and it was like still long. So I was like, oh well, I'll just.
I actually have a pretty funny story about that in general, about the long lines, because there was a how to make a bento box thing. Like the people I was with, they really wanted to go to that one, so it's like, all right, fine, no big deal. So we get there, and the line is ridiculously long. It's like this many people are interested. Like it was wrapping around.
For a panel, how to make a bento box?
Yes.
I didn't think it would be that popular.
Yeah, same here. I was surprised. I'm like, oh my god, we were practically like the last people to be able to make it inside the room. was like,
where was that?
It was a
stage
small
at?
room, but there was a lot of people who it was just some panel room. It's a tiny little thing. Like it had like half the line had to stay out. It was crazy.
Yeah, sometimes that does happen though. Sometimes you just like a bento box panel. I wouldn't expect like the
I have
max
a book
capacity
with a section how to make a bento box.
Yeah.
But sometimes it just certain things get super popular. Like some stuff you expect. Like I went to a Legend of Korra panel. It was like the same type of thing that I expected because it's Legend of Korra, especially in its final season. So I'm like, of course people are gonna go to that.
If it's something like Team 4-Star.
Yeah, you expect it.
I tried to go to their 18 plus panel, but then me and my friends were like going to dinner, and we expected the 18 plus panel to be much later than it was. Mm-hmm. And we didn't expect them to start the thing at 8
Wasn't theirs at like
PM.
6 or something? Yeah, it was.
It
was at 8.
We thought that it was that they had like a general audiences panel earlier. Turns out it was just a signing.
Oh. Because they normally do have that, where it's like their regular panel and then they have an 18 plus.
I was only there Saturday, so I can't vouch for whether or not they actually did it or not. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I missed their 18 plus panel.
Yeah, but that was an early one because typically it said like 10 or 11. They could have easily just had something to do. That could be why they did it that way. Because I think I noticed that a lot this year, where a lot of the 18 plus panels were way before it was like midnight, because typically it's like 11 is when you get like the first one, and this year there are a couple of times where it's like 18 plus would be like 8 o'clock or 9 o'clock.
Yeah.
Which,
Fun fact about the Team 4-Star 18 plus panel: the line went up the escalators at one point. Like they had you do that. It was they had you, obviously you couldn't wait on the escalator itself, but they cut it off.
Unless it was one of the ones that shut down, because I noticed there was a lot of escalators.
It was a working escalator. You could see the line at the top of it, and line at the bottom of it.
Like I'm actually surprised because there was a lot of non-working escalators at Youmacon this year. I'm surprised they didn't just have them wait on that.
It's always like that. They break down. It's too many people riding them all the time.
I gotcha.
I don't even try to make the panels with big stars like Team 4-Star because I just assume you can't get in.
In general, like you're probably gonna have to wait a good like 20 minutes to a half an hour if you're planning on making it to it. If not more, it's happened before.
Yeah, I think the only one outside of the Five Nights at Freddy, the only one I thought I wouldn't make it to was the Space Dandy and Cowboy Bebop panel, because that was pretty long too. But fortunately, they had it in like the giant room where they do cosplay shogi, so there's a ton of room in that one.
I just walk up to the panel, see this huge line outside the door, and think, yeah, skip this. What else is on the schedule?
Yeah, find something else, man.
Yeah, sometimes it's, like I said, like the bento box thing, sometimes it's random. Sometimes it really is that they didn't give people the right room. Like, do you know where the 4-Star panel was?
That was in the Kobo Center, like the main ballroom. So pretty much
everyone
in that line, I think, made it into that room.
Yeah, because that's like the biggest one they got. So that's smart to do because stuff like that, you do the big ones. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I enjoyed it overall. I think I had a good time. I got there. I didn't go Thursday because I didn't pre-register this year, so I went on Friday. Mm. I got up early. I thought I was going to make it. I was like, I'm going to get up early. I'm going to go in. I'm going to get this super cheap parking, which I didn't do because they changed it. That was one of the things they switched, which is like the parking that's right on the water. That's normally like $5 for the whole weekend, and then they changed it this year, and it's like, it said reserved parking only. And I was like, that really sucks because that was like the big thing. Like, you get $5 parking for the whole convention and save yourself some money instead of spend like $33, which is what I had to spend on parking.
Yeah. Actually, from both this year and the last year, I got a surprisingly good parking spot in the garage right near the Renaissance Center. And it was like one of the first rows. In fact, like the first time it happened, I was actually like a little bit scared. I'm like, did I park in a reserved spot? And I thought and then I'm like, oh, wait a minute, I'm in a parking garage. Of course they're not going to tow something in there.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't actually know this. I'm just assuming that they probably wouldn't go through the trouble of getting a tow truck in a parking garage.
Yeah. But it wasn't too bad. Like, I always try to find the free parking. I I don't like to go too far because it's downtown Detroit. It's risky, so I don't take those chances.
Downtown Detroit is arguably much safer than the rest of Detroit.
It is, but I guarantee, like, it's a weird transition. Like, you go from the Renaissance Center, I think a block over is like this bar, which is where I would typically park, and they put up a gate this year, so you can't just go in their lot. Yeah. So there's that, and then there's parking on the street, and there's a bunch of signs that say like no standing here. I remember I did that, I think at Midwest, and I got a ticket there, even though there were like a bunch of cars there, which is why it always made me mad. Like, it's a very confusing thing. It's like no standing on this side of the sign, and then there's a bunch of cars, and I'm like, what is the distance on this? But I actually asked the lady, and she told me, so I couldn't get any free parking. But like a block over, it's just like super sketchy. Like, there's businesses right there, but it just looks like it's abandoned almost. Like, it's a weird mix. Like, it looks abandoned, but it's not.
Yeah, funny thing is that I remember making a video about Youmacon, I think like 2010 or something, and I think I opened it with Youmacon is located in the one part of Detroit that isn't a complete shithole.
Yeah. I mean, it's the safest place to do it if you're going to do it in Detroit. It is definitely downtown, especially in the Renaissance Center. It's the fanciest place you can get, that in Cobo.
Actually, that's the thing I liked about the Renaissance Center is that it sort of made Youmacon kind of like that high-class upper party for nerds where you get to like go to this really luxurious place and meet like all the big names and stuff. Like, I don't know. It's like the bougiest nerd-related thing in Detroit.
It's like all the businesses in there you can go to. They have, I think, though, oddly enough, I don't know. It might have just been the hours I was in there, but like the rear entrance that leads out to the water, there's like a little candy shop, and I didn't see that it was open this year. Like, there's like the whole thing is literally just a candy store. They have like the $30 crunch bars that are like giant things. It's that type of candy store in there.
Just think if you didn't have to pay for parking.
Yeah, $30 crunch bars.
The only restaurant I went to was a McDonald's, and I neglected to remember that McDonald's is in, like, I guess those kinds of buildings or have even shittier quality food than a normal McDonald's.
Oh, yeah, they have no dollar menus either, which is always, I think that's my least favorite thing. Nothing is like, here the honestly, commercial deal prices, you don't get that if you go to the food court.
Yeah.
And even around there's really no places to go outside of the Renaissance Center. You can go to like Greektown, Five Guys, which we did last year.
So good.
It's good, yeah, it really. And they were crowded last year. We went because we were in our room, and it was like, you know, we were gonna order pizza, and it was too late. We were like, crap, what the heck are we gonna eat? Because we were all starving, and of course the food court was closed. So we were just looking up stuff, and it was like Five Guys is open until like 4:00 in the morning.
Which reminds me, pro tip here, guys. Look at the schedule beforehand and, like, with the people you're with and say, all right, this is the time slot where we get fucking food, okay? Because I can tell you right now, I don't think I ate Saturday. I think I ate at, like, noon and then ate again at, like, 10 o'clock at night. I was dead. I didn't even realize it until I took the first bite and I was, like, passed out on the floor from pain. Like, this is wrong.
Yeah, I think, God, what did we do? We had lunch. It was fairly normal, and then we went because we knew last year was like we completely missed pizza. We actually got pizza this year, so we succeeded in that one. We got pizza delivered, and we went to 7-Eleven to get like cheap pops instead of getting their stuff like $2, 2 liters, like $1 a liter. So we actually did it well this year and balanced everything out. So that was a nice.
When you said cheap soda, I kept thinking you got like some off-brand soda.
No, it was just like 7-Eleven had like the 2 for $3 type stuff, which was way cheaper than buying anything from Happy's. It was like $2.59 for 1 pop, and I was like, why don't we just? I was like, just let's not get pop and just go. Like, let's just walk to get pop because it's worth it. It's
I just brought like a 12-pack of like Mountain Dew Throwback with me. That was it. That was pretty much the whole weekend.
Yeah, I don't ever bring anything with me. I don't even, like, honestly, when I go, I don't have a sleeping bag or anything. I just take my clothes. I got, like, the little side pillow that's in the chair. I just put that on the floor and slept on it. And I put my jacket on because it was cold.
Honestly, I think besides my cosplay that I had, it was that, my normal clothes, and that. the 12 cans of pop. That was it.
Yeah.
The only thing I usually bring to Youmacon, and that's usually because I only go like one day, is a backpack. And surprisingly, security has never, walked me aside because I was having that thing on.
Yeah, they tend not to do that.
I think there's too many people with them, really, because there's a lot of people who just take it.
And speaking of like the backpack stuff, was like the new policy thing they had this year with
the masks.
The masks and the realistic guns. Did you guys notice any people getting pulled?
No,
because I didn't either.
None.
No.
Yeah, I didn't either. Because like the food court technically was one of the areas you weren't supposed to.
Maybe the security people thought the rule was stupid.
I didn't see anybody though that was like really against it, like wearing their masks at the food court or anything. So that might be part of it. But I think people responded to the message. They went along with it for the most part,
Yeah, I think the only I didn't go to the front of the center this year, so I don't know how many people were really up there or anything. But like the food court was one of those places where you weren't supposed to, but that's like where everybody goes to eat. Like you can't, like no one's just gonna go all the way up to their room just to get rid of the fake gun and come back down to eat.
Oh, that reminds me. I didn't notice it, but somebody else did. They had their realistic gun, but they had something to wrap it with. So when they made it there, they just wrapped it up in like a bag or something, so it wasn't noticeable anymore.
Yeah. Like I'm sure some people still did that, but like the people that I noticed that didn't, where it was like they were still wearing like face masks and stuff.
There was
I don't know why.
I remember like walking into like the center of the Renaissance Center. Okay, and there was like a whole bunch of like Master Chief cosplayers like standing around for a photo shoot. Why did I say shoot?
Yeah, like
I just figured there's just too many people there for them to do it.
Yeah, really, they can't enforce it.
Can you imagine how many people are just in the food court at any one time?
Yeah,
exactly.
Just too many people at Youmacon running around, like I was saying before. They barely manage, really, how much goes on.
Yeah, like we were together, I think, on Friday, and we saw the people who were like from Payday the Heist, right?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, and so like that whole game is just you wear a clown face mask and hold machine guns, and that's what they did. They were in suits and clown masks and machine guns, and I didn't really see them too much around the panel, or the convention, but I don't think they had too many issues either.
I'm just thinking, these are probably the guys they're looking at with these new rules, and I didn't see any issues with them or anyone else.
Yeah, me neither. Because I think one of the biggest things, like you guys saw the one I have for the Legend of Zelda, the guy had like the giant Deku mask, and it was just like a super huge head. I don't, to have to carry that around.
Hold the place up?
Yeah.
Come on.
It's not like he could really get anywhere.
Yeah.
He'd either take off the giant helmet and run with it, which I don't know how heavy that had to be. Carrying it.
It can't be that light.
So I don't know, but I don't feel like they did too much to enforce that like crazy. I think they kind of just let people slide. I guess they just wanted to let people know like, hey, don't have too realistic. I guess I don't know how.
It takes some of the edge off. Like clearly they had to tell everybody about it. Like even though, like I from what I heard, it was pretty much just sent to them in like a tweet, really. Like, hey guys, don't wear masks or have realistic weapons type of thing.
Yeah.
So I think after they basically told everybody, hey guys, don't have that, and we're like, okay, grab it anyway. Youmacon has less of a handle on it at that point. At least they told us, but what can they really do?
Yeah.
But that makes me worried at the same time that like they could actually still just get in trouble and they realize, well, there's nothing you can do, so we'll just stop you in general.
Yeah.
But I hope that's not the case.
I don't think that'll be the case. I mean, like with all the crazy rules with like the room stuff is still technically a thing, like fire hazard, all that crap.
Yeah.
But they haven't after that was 2 years ago when they did the stuff with the elevators, and it was like you had to get a wristband just to go up the elevators.
Yeah.
They didn't do that last year. They stopped that stuff, and it was like it's such a hassle. Like what are you gonna do? Like, because everyone's just gonna run up the stairs anyway.
Was so annoying. I had someone drop out of my room last minute because of it. I'm like, you serious? Come on, we'll figure it out. No.
I didn't even use the elevator this year. It was all escalators, mainly just because they were more convenient and you didn't have to wait in a freaking line. But that's only because I was going as, I guess you could say, a commuter and not someone who was actually staying in a hotel room.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
I just figured the elevators are for people with actual hotel rooms, so I never bother with them.
You'll wait too long otherwise.
Like, there's really no point. Like, if you're not in a room, there's literally no reason to use an elevator because you'd only go up. You'd only go up to like the 5th floor. There's just no point in waiting.
You'll be waiting just as long. Just go take a walk.
Twice as much odds, most likely.
Do something,
Get some exercise for once.
Get some exercise. Hit on some chicks. I don't know. Just do something besides waiting on an elevator.
But it wasn't that bad though. I think this year I don't think I had to deal with the elevators too much, oddly enough, compared to other years. There was like one time I went up the stairs and to get on the elevator easily, and then of course leaving you can't really take the elevators in general unless you have to because it's like super heavy. But outside of that, I was able to take the elevators. It was pretty easy for the most part. We were always up incredibly late, so there was never anybody up anyway. Like, we stayed up the whole night for the whole rave, so no one was on the elevators. The night before, we were up until like 7 o'clock in the morning, so nobody was really up.
There's like nothing worse than like when you're in the hotel and everything, and like Sunday comes around, it's time to leave, and it's like there's no way. Like, you try to get like there's nothing worse than trying to get an elevator like with enough space to actually get all your shit down to the bottom floor. Because I get the Crown, like, it's like, okay, you can take the stairs, except it only goes down to the 6th floor. There's no stairs in between those, like, nothing. So you have to take an elevator at some point. So, like, you're trying to, like, you press the button, you wait for, like, 20 minutes, it finally shows up, and it's full of people. Like, it's...
I think you can take the elevator all the way down to the 5th floor, and then you can take the escalators from there.
At the Crown Plaza Hotel.
Oh.
The one that's not like, the Renaissance
okay.
one.
The one across the street.
Yeah. Like, that one was a pain in the ass.
That sucks.
Yeah.
You guys went to the gaming room, right?
Yep.
We talked about that.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
It was amazing.
What
I
games you
love the
played?
gaming room.
Any of you guys want to start off?
I guess I can. Well, how about you, Terrence?
Well, I was just gonna say like the simple stuff. I did like when they have like the arcade cabinets now, like the little cool ones. They don't have like any titles, but you can just look and know what the game is. I did like Marvel vs. Capcom 2 for a little bit. I played like honestly like the simple games that I just hadn't played. Like I never played Ultimate Street Fighter 4, so I was like, it's free. So because the only reason I'm ever in the game room for myself is because there's nothing else happening. Because I know it's like the same games every year. So it's either a game I own, which like The Last of Us was in there, which the only thing that made me sad was like it looks amazing on this TV, and then it was like it looks like crap compared to when I played it at home. Like the TVs were unbelievable, but it was like the same sort of stuff. Like nothing too special until I went to the actual arcade area.
I wasn't too interested in the arcade area on account of it was mostly DDR machines, and there was like lines for basically every game. The only two games that really interested me were X-Men. Even though I never really played the original X-Men arcade game, I have, however, played the Simpsons arcade game, and from what I hear, the X-Men arcade game is basically the same thing.
It's classic.
The other one that I was interested in was Virtual On, which
that's a really fun. I love that game.
They used to have that game at the Zap Zone in Farmington Hills, but I'm guessing because maybe they lost interest in it, or maybe they just needed room for more ticket machines. I don't know. They got rid of it.
Yeah, I love playing that one for sure.
Also, but the real highlight though was definitely like the video game console room, where you can find like all these import consoles, all these really rare games. Probably one of the biggest highlights for me was Star Fox 2. For those of you who don't know, there was a second Star Fox game made for the Super Nintendo, but it was pretty much completed, but it never got released because Nintendo wanted to focus on the N64. But then somewhere along the line, somebody dumped the entire ROM, and they actually had it in a cartridge playing on a Super Famicom. And it's basically, I've never really played the original Star Fox for the Super Nintendo, but from what I heard, it's basically the same game, except it does incorporate all-range mode. The R-Wing can transform into a walker that basically acts as a terrain vehicle, and you can just shoot stuff. There's RTS elements in the game where you have to fly around, stop missiles, stop meteor command ships and all that good shit. And also Star Wolf is in it. They actually had a lot of different rare consoles. I guess you can call the Sega Saturn a rare console because nobody owned it back in the day. Which was, they had like an 11-player Bomberman set up on a Saturn, and apparently they released, I'm guessing it never got released in Japan, because if it got released in America, the Saturn would have probably done much better. They even had some like infamous bad games like Shaq Fu, which
classic.
I beat everyone at Shaq Fu. Like, I was surprisingly good at that game, and it is a bad game, but it's not unplayable. Like, you could probably get a few friends over to play Shaq Fu, and you probably have a good time. They even have the Atari 2600 version of Pac-Man.
Oh,
but
yeah, I saw that one.
Here's the thing. Like, yes, it looks like shit, it sounds like shit, and it doesn't look anything like Pac-Man. But that wasn't the hard part. It was mainly the controller they had with it, and I get it's an Atari controller, and it's probably like 30 years old, so it's probably going to have some wear on it. But it takes a lot just to get that thing to register. They also had some Japanese versions of games released in America, such as Mega Man X, which I think the only difference is that the bosses all have their names changed, and obviously it's called Rockman X. Yeah. And they also had the original Super Smash Bros. For the Japanese version, which is significant because there are a lot of changes from the American version. For example, pretty much all the sound effects are different. Like, instead of having like pow, pow, you have like realistic punch sound effects. And also you have the beam sword makes a lightsaber noise in the Japanese version, but they changed it in the American version to avoid copyrights. Yeah. And I think they changed the punch sound effects over to from the American version so that the game would get an E rating. And honestly, it's not a complete loss because I actually kind of like those sound effects anyway, because I like how they get like louder and more intense when with the harder hits, which is something that I think like that game did that not a lot of the other ones did. No. Also, they have, I know I'm just gushing at this point, but they also had like different clips for the announcer, and that's to be expected because, you know, you have like Jigglypuff being purring and all that stuff, but they also had different names for some of the other stuff they had there, or just redone lines, because all of the really enthusiastic lines for the announcer, like Super Smash Brothers, like all that stuff, was added in the American version.
Sorry, people using headphones.
Okay, sorry. And you notice in the American version how there's like some lines where the announcer's just like Pikachu or Yoshi team or just something really plain like that. In the Japanese version, all of his dialogue is like that. In the American version, they changed it over to be more enthusiastic because we're American and we like enthusiasm. Yeah. And
yeah, fuck yeah!
Probably the best changeover from the Japanese version to the American version, where the American version was the superior one. The original name for the fighting polygon team was Dummy Corps.
Lame.
I enjoyed it though. I didn't see a lot of the games you mentioned, and that's probably because I honestly just flew through. Like, because you can tell how they do it, where like the newer games are first, and then the older games are like in the back of the room, so typically by the time you get there, someone has already sat down, so it's like, all right, well, I saw that, so now I have to just go full circle and find a more recent game.
I was in the room, I toured the whole thing, but I never actually got to sit down and like really any of them because there was just so many people in there.
Yeah, I got pretty far through I actually beat Star Fox 2. It was actually really fun. What else do they have? They actually had a Master System, and it had Sonic the Hedgehog 2, which I don't believe was ever released in America. I think only the Game Gear version was ever released in America. And I'm very well versed in that game, even though I've never beaten it. But my only complaint with it was that the Sega Master System D-pad sucks. Well, that and... interesting thing about the Sega Master System, the pause button is on the console itself.
Wow.
And that's just one flaw from old console games.
Yeah, we've come so far.
But Sega didn't have any excuse, because I'm pretty sure the Master System came out after the Nintendo Entertainment System. And I think even the Famicom had a freaking pause button on the controller.
They just want you to get off your sorry ass to pause this stupid thing. Like, oh, you have something else to do? No.
Yeah, exactly. Like, you're just so used to it, especially since the Sega Master, other than not having a select or start button, the Master System controller is exactly like the NES. Well, again, other than the fact that the NES has a good D-pad and the Master System doesn't.
Let me ask you guys something since we're talking about the game room. Did you guys hear, like, I know there was, like, some rumors that, like, some things were stolen from there?
You know, I wouldn't be surprised. Apparently, I heard somewhere on Facebook that somebody got their 3DS stolen, and I think even I might have lost something. It could be because it fell out of my pocket because I was wearing a hoodie. But I bought 3 Pokemon cards at the convention, and when I got back home, I only had 2 of them.
Ooh. Those things aren't cheap either.
No, they are. I got them for like $1 each.
I just remember going to the dealer's room and seeing. I don't play the My Little Pony trading card game. But I remember one of the things I saw.
I think most bronies don't even play the.
Was a rarity card worth $60.
Oh, it was a rarity card.
Because someone is inevitably going to say it. That is the worst possible thing.
I
don't know. Rarity's very fabulous, so that makes sense.
I mean, as far as like the stuff getting stolen, though, I did hear that someone had their phone stolen. I can't remember who it was.
A friend of mine.
That was you that said that?
Yeah.
Because you mentioned that they had a picture of the person who took the phone.
Yeah, it was probably me or Brad who mentioned it to you, because both of us are friends with the person. But yeah, they were taking a picture with they were dressed as Goku and Chi-Chi, and they were taking pictures with this family who wanted to obviously stop them, and they had their stuff sitting behind them, and of course the guy just on his phone walks up, reaches down into their purse they had there and just snatches it, takes off. But they did get a picture of the guy, and from what I understand, they actually did catch the guy because of those pictures and everything. So
that's good.
Yeah. So I know that when they actually heard that there was a picture of this guy, like Youmacon made a pretty big deal about it, because it's like they knew that there had been reports from the previous day about electronics going missing. So they assume it's the same guy. I don't know if it is or not.
It
probably
is.
Yeah, just like it's a good idea at Youmacon, because I had those moments where I sat stuff down next to me and I was keeping my eyes on it like the whole time.
Yeah, like I don't think I ever have anything that I have to put down.
Yeah.
All I ever have, honestly, when I go to the convention, I switch my jacket from the jacket I wear now to like my sweater, because it's much lighter and I won't be hot inside the Renaissance Center or staying in there. Yeah. And I just have like my infamous 2 backpack, and if it doesn't fit, then I'm just holding it the whole time. But for the most part, it's like water or food or like the t-shirts I got, and I just stuff everything in there.
Yeah.
Because I don't stay at the hotel up there, I go back and forth from home to the convention.
Yeah,
I'm always carrying stuff on me. I can't help it.
Yeah.
But everything I carry with me, I know where it is. I keep it in front of me, make sure no one else is about to walk off with it.
Yeah. But for those people though who are in costume and don't have pockets or anything, that becomes a real pain in the ass. Because I know how it feels. Like this time I actually had pockets on everything I had, so it's like no problem.
Mm-hmm.
But still, like for those people who like have to carry like an extra bag, it's nerve wracking. So
make sure you don't forget something you normally don't carry with you.
Yeah.
To anyone listening, make sure you keep your tabs on your stuff.
Yeah,
make sure everything is right in front of you or
in your pocket.
Cons
especially
wallets. A bunch of people put together, man. It's easy pickings for the most part. So just
never wear a hoodie.
Actually, always wear a hoodie, especially if you're cosplaying Dr. Doom. Then you'll be awesome. Dr. Doom, Amon. Who else has a hoodie?
We get it.
Awesome. Grim Reaper from Avengers Jeremiah's Heroes. He's badass.
Never wear a hoodie unless it has zippable pockets.
Yeah, hoodies are definitely an easy way to have stuff just drop right out. Because I've had that happen to me too, where like keys have fallen out and stuff like that.
I think that's how I lost my
I have hoodies with
card.
deep pockets, man. They're nice. Nice hoodie.
Yeah, and definitely, I think one of the big things is always trying to keep track of your badge. Like, that's one thing I always wonder about with people who have like those really extravagant cosplays. Like the guy who had the giant Deku like head for the mask. His was just like on his waist. I'm like, anyone could literally just like swipe it right off him. I'm like, I'd be so freaked out about that.
Make sure you write your name, phone number on your badge in case it gets lost.
That's true. Yeah.
I went to the ConOps booth at the dealer's room because I forgot my schedule one day.
Yeah.
And they said they collected a bunch of badges that were just lying on the floor.
Yeah.
They were basically useless then because they don't know who to give them to.
Yeah. There's nothing.
Yeah, like definitely at least put your name on it, because all you have to say is like, I wrote this name on it and this is how it looks.
No, I never thought about that, actually writing your phone number on the badge itself.
So they know who to call if it turns up missing.
Yeah.
Yeah, because James thought he lost his, but fortunately it was just in the room. He left it upstairs. But yeah, like at least put your name on it, because even if they don't have your number, if someone isn't trying to flat out steal it from you, it's easy, because all you have to do is go to the thing. If someone actually turned it in, you can just say, I wrote this, and it's like, there you go.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't have to be your real name or anything. They'll know you didn't just
Honestly,
see it out of like thousands of people.
I think like the same thing can be said, like if you have your wallet or anything else like that, like have your phone number, some way of someone contacting you. Because I know there's plenty of good people at Youmacon. If they find something and they mess with it in any way, shape, or form and see there's a phone number on it, they'll probably like give it to somebody to give it to you.
If you want your 3DS back, meet me behind the
red
stand. No cops.
Ransom you, but hey, at least you get it back, man. All I'm saying.
I think there was someone else who like, I didn't know the person. I just heard them talking while I was going past them. Like their friend had dropped their phone, and someone, he was like, I sent a text to her phone, and then someone had called him. Like, I found the phone. So
I think that happened last year.
That happened this year too.
Yeah.
Like, I went past some guy.
Yeah.
But yeah, sometimes you just gotta be careful. Just because somebody's nerdy doesn't mean they won't steal from you. So it just happens.
Yeah.
But I definitely loved the convention this year. I don't know if it was because I like the panel so much. Like, I went to so few, but the ones I chose, I really, really did enjoy. Like, I enjoyed them as much as I expected to. Like, I went to one I did mention to you guys was a horror game panel, and then I was really excited to go to because I love horror games. So they talked about, like some of my favorites. They talked about Resident Evil, they talked about Dead Space, and they talked about other franchises that I know, and talking about good stuff and bad stuff that's in all the different games. And I enjoyed that because it's just fun to listen to.
There.
Yeah, like I enjoy those types of things. Like they talked about Five Nights at Freddy there too, and
not just the game, the fan art too.
They were probably obligated to.
But yeah, like the good and bad out of every franchise. So I enjoyed that. The
horror gaming, the good, the bad, and the Night Trap.
Oh,
that was what it was called.
The Night Trap.
I was really thinking about going to that one.
That was.
I still can't believe that frickin' game inspired a congressional hearing.
Oh,
Wait,
yeah.
what?
Yeah, that's the game.
Okay, let me explain.
Yeah, I remember that.
Okay, so back in the early 90s when Night Trap came out, I think it was like December of 1993, Joe Lieberman wanted to, I guess, have a congressional meeting about, the increasing level of violence in video games. And I'm not sure if it was 93 or not. I think it was probably 94, actually, because it involved Mortal Kombat, obviously. But
Mortal Kombat came out in 92.
Oh, 92, okay.
I think it's both of those games, because those are always the two.
Okay, it might have been 90. It was 93 then.
I'm actually not aware of what Night Trap is.
But
actually,
so basically, they picked out 3 games in particular from Sega that said was like corrupting the youth or something like that. The first was Mortal Kombat. The second was Night Trap, which, okay, here's what Night Trap is. It's an FMV game released on the Sega CD, but it was also released I think as a 32X CD combo. It was also released on the 3DO and the PC. And basically the object of the game is you are part of a police force called SCAT. I am not kidding.
Shit.
So there's like these not yet transformed vampires running around this house trying to basically suck the blood of a bunch of girls who are having a sleepover.
Wait. It's vampires?
Yeah, it's really weird. They
Okay,
don't look like vampires.
They're called
They're
augurs.
Like monster.
They're called
weird
augurs.
things.
Like what they basically are just like people who have been bitten by vampires but aren't like fully developed yet. So they don't have fangs. They don't have fangs to suck the blood with. So they have to use a mechanical hook and suck the blood that way. And they need this to survive, obviously.
So they're live vampires.
So anyway,
they're too cool for that.
Anyway, so you control a security camera system, and you have to go around and look for these guys, and you have to activate traps that have been placed throughout the house. And you have one woman who is basically helping you out here, and she's played by Different Strokes actress Dana Plato. In fact, the whole thing was actually shot in 1987, and it was originally going to be released for a VHS video game system because back then VHS games were all the rage. But it never came into fruition. So eventually that footage, they decided dumped it. They dumped it onto a Sega CD disc. Actually, for the Sega CD version, they actually recorded new footage with the same actor who plays the main cop. The only real difference is that he's more pissed off, and there's a bunch of Sega logos everywhere.
Yeah, like the controllers actually in the
in the game. Yeah. Although I guess I would recommend that version just to see how like his pissed off overacting is beautiful. Yeah. Like I put their lives.
So this game was so
hands.
violent that it inspired.
No. This is where the stupid part is. This is what comes the stupid part. Okay. Joe Lieberman and all those other dumb pieces of shit. They thought that you were controlling the vampires. So they play this scene.
Under a rapist.
Or something. Okay, so they play this scene where a woman is prettying herself up in the shower, and there's one of the vampires, well, not in the shower, in the bathroom, and there's a vampire in the shower, and she looks behind her, and she thinks it's one of her friends. She walks up to the shower, and it opens up, and it's actually one of the vampires. And then all these other vampires come out, and they prepare to suck her dry with the hook. But although you don't actually, here's the thing: none of the deaths are shown on screen. And the minute someone dies, you get a game over. So that's the part they left out. They thought you were controlling the vampires.
That's just stupid.
That's really dumb.
And you gotta hate like the
So basically, they just didn't research anything.
Yeah,
they didn't.
The unresearched stupidity. That's what it is. It's
The only one they did any amount of research for was Mortal Kombat. But even on those grounds, you can make the point that it's not fucking real.
Yeah, it's just issues with gaming, which I think we're fortunately past now.
I guess
for the most part, at least we reached a point where people don't say it's corrupting the youth. It's still an issue because some people are dumb and they kill each other.
I mean, there's Gamergate, but
there's that.
You
want to chime in now?
I was kind of trying to avoid talking about it, but we have to address the elephant in the room here. No, there's still people saying that gaming is corrupt.
Yeah.
I mean,
speaking of gaming, let's go raping women sometime. I mean, that seems like a good idea since we're all gamers.
I mean, it is corrupt. It's been proven before
that's
that
sarcasm for those that can't.
Yeah, it's sarcasm.
Yeah. Well,
sarcasm.
But I'm just gonna be upfront about it. Like, there has been like actual proof that these like these game journalists have been basically like getting favors from like all these other people to report on certain news. Yeah, you know what? Yeah, that sound effect is all you need to know.
Yeah. And Doritos say Mountain Dew, but that's another story.
Doritos
I'm still a person who feels like as long as you follow like the game like rating, you're fine. Like they shouldn't corrupt somebody as long as it's like within those boundaries. Like,
exactly.
I can see like a rated M for mature game. You're letting them in on something they probably shouldn't be aware of just yet, but you know.
It's just
I know Mortal Kombat, wasn't
like Mortal Kombat was the one.
It did inspire some
had some validity simply because of the blood in it. But like Night Trap, honestly, like if for like you guys never saw it, but honestly, Game Grumps did a thing. Just watch that.
Actually, I started getting back into Game Grumps. I think like about a month ago, and I didn't see the Night Trap episode. I probably should. My overall opinion, Danny, he's not as funny as John, but he's still pretty entertaining. You know what I mean? It's just that with Danny around, the dynamics sort of changed. Like before, you had like John was the comic relief and Aaron was the straight man. Now Aaron's the comic relief and Danny's the straight man.
Yeah.
All right, so taking this back to Youmacon.
Yeah, that got we just went to
all of us here, we went to Youmacon, right? Oh,
yes.
Not me.
You didn't go?
So 2 people who did not.
So out of the 4 of us here who have gone, what is the most like memorable cosplay you saw while you were there? The cosplay of Youmacon 2014, in your opinion?
Mine probably would have to be the Legend of Zelda one with the giant Deku Tree mask. Yeah. It just looks so good. Like it was just a really good cosplay.
Funny thing is, mine is also Legend of Zelda, but it was actually, I'm pretty sure Zelda herself. Like, it was just so well done. Like, she had
I might have seen the
back.
picture of that one.
It had, like, a beautiful embroidery on the back. It was fantastic. We were, like, walking behind her. We just had to stop and take a picture of it. Like, that was my favorite of the whole time.
Yeah, me too. I guess Legend of Zelda had a good year this year.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah, mine was actually Impa from Hyrule Warriors. I saw her while I was on the People Mover.
Yeah.
Hey, Impa, as soon as we get off the train, can I get a picture? Impa!
Yeah.
How about you?
I'm looking through my pictures right now. I found a guy with a really good Predator cosplay. Yeah. And I think I got a picture with him with Catwoman based off of Batman Returns design. I also got a pretty funny one. It's really simplistic, but I thought it was original. It's a guy holding a wastebasket with a sign on it that says, "Your waifu."
Oh, yeah. I think it should be a toilet, though.
I guess.
But I enjoyed the cosplays for sure this year. I mean, that one, like I said, really sticks out. I think just the way it all looked. Even, like, it's admittedly simple in design. It was simple in design because it's really just, a brown, I guess, skin suit, like some green shorts, and then the mask itself was a lot of detail. Yeah. But simplistic, like it looks simplistic, but that's kind of what makes it look so good, and I enjoyed it. And it just looked really freaking sweet to me. And like I saw a lot of the Ruby cosplays. I went to I went to the photo shoot for that. Saw a lot of good Ruby cosplays for like pretty much every character. Somebody did a great cosplay for that. But I really enjoyed it. Like, saw some space dandies that were good. I think I only saw like one Spike from Cowboy Bebop, one Spike and one Faye, and I missed them at the photo shoot. They apparently all the Cowboy Bebop people just took off. So like I got there and I got like 2 pictures with like space dandy people.
Shit.
And it was like 2 pictures of space dandy, and then like it kind of just broke up because they were like, oh, then all the Spikes take off because they were gonna do like Spike and Dandy together. And it was like all the Cowboy Bebop people were already gone. I was like, oh, that sucks, because I wanted to get some pictures of that. But yeah, I saw some good ones. I saw like there's a little kid who was Mario, so that was really good. I saw like a lot of the same people repeatedly. Oddly enough, this year I just like kept seeing like some of the same people over and over again. I kept just running into the same people, but I enjoyed the costumes. Like the girl who was did the Assassin's Creed cosplay with the flag and stuff. Hers was really great. That was really good. I saw some other assassins, of course. You see a ton of assassins. Saw one from 4, which was really good. He had like all the guns and everything. It looked nice. Yeah. But overall, I just saw it was just good cosplays. But yeah, that's the one that stood out.
I got a few more standouts. One which I actually have a video for was this orange guy. I hope I'm saying this right. Wacky waving arm inflatable tube man.
Oh. We're talking from
Family Guy.
Family.
Yeah, I don't think like that specific motto was from Family Guy, but it was the same general idea. Yeah. The other one was actually it was this black girl who cosplayed as Chun-Li, and her legs actually She could actually like stretch her legs out, and her legs look just like Chun-Li's.
Oh,
they were hefty, man.
I can see.
Oh
wow.
They were some pretty crazy legs.
Right.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Looked like they could kick out a horse.
I think she actually like posted a few pictures of the cosplay on Facebook beforehand.
Yeah.
That's cool. I saw. You guys see any like specific anime cosplays that you like?
I saw
or video game,
I
guess.
I saw Maze. I saw him last year too, but I just think it's awesome. Really good Maze Hughes because he's got like a wallet and everything, just like the flip photos and everything of the daughter like to the floor. Like I just laugh every single time I see him. So
I saw some. I saw a lot of. You always see some Resident Evil people.
yeah.
Actually, the guy who did the philosophy and video games panel was Leon from Resident Evil 4. And I guess if anyone went to that panel who's listening, I swear I thought that guy looked like Sam Witwer, who is the guy who's Starkiller in Star Wars: The Force Unleashed, the main character. I thought that guy looked a lot like him when I was at that panel. Like I was like, he looks like Sam Witwer to me. And he was also Doomsday in Smallville, if that helps anybody. But
all right, I got one more cosplay, and this was like toward the very end of it was technically on Sunday, but you know the Saturday pass lasts until 9 a.m., so I was able to get this. I'm not sure if it was the same Goku cosplayer you were talking about, but I got this. There was this group that got together that was cosplaying as Goku, Chi-Chi, Master Roshi, and this black guy who was really buff as Piccolo.
Oh yeah. That's not Piccolo though. That's Guru, I think.
Oh, is it Guru? I just assumed
so. He's
I
big.
guess I was thinking like OG Dragon Ball, so you know I was thinking Piccolo, so I guess if you want it to be Super Kami Guru, I guess it can be Super Kami.
Oh yeah, that's definitely Guru.
Yeah.
He's using his size right, man. I gotta say. But.
Like I can imagine someone doing a Piccolo cosplay with like those big muscles. You know what I mean? I know Piccolo technically doesn't have like a great build, but you know if you wanted to like that's an artistic liberty. No one would complain about. What else?
It's funny because those guys were actually the friends of mine I was talking about earlier.
Oh really?
Yeah, it's with them.
That's cool.
Yeah.
I just think it was kind of like I just naturally thought Piccolo because like Chi-Chi was dressed in like the outfit she was wearing at the very end of the original Dragon Ball, and I figured like I thought they were doing like original Dragon Ball. I know I said that before, but I just wanted to added that bit about Chi-Chi wearing her OG Dragon Ball costume.
I know I'm probably gonna hear something about this for saying so, but like I think if I had to choose a close second as my favorite cosplay, it's actually a group, the Ice Climbers, which I think a few of us know who those were.
Yeah,
that was actually amazing.
Those were I enjoyed theirs.
They were good characters.
I thought they were I thought that was like amazing. Honestly, like looking at the two of them going together.
James had a good cosplay too. He was Snake from the new Metal Gear. And like both those cosplays got featured in the news. James was on Tumblr. The Ice Climbers were in the Free Press.
Oh, cool.
Speaking of the Ice Climbers, did anyone see Brad and his girlfriend dressed as them?
That's what I'm talking about, man. Like seeing those guys, they did a great job. I gotta say, like man,
those were really good. I enjoyed those for sure.
Yeah.
I also saw Skull Kid from The Legend of Zelda. It was pretty good. Someone made a Freddy Fazbear suit out of cardboard and duct tape.
Yeah, I saw that one.
I saw a lot of Jedi. I feel like I saw a ton of Jedi this year.
There's a lot of Jedi that come to Youmacon. I guess they're just.
I feel like it was way
anticipation
more this year,
for Star Wars 7, which the subtitle got released today.
Oh yeah, I remember. Were we talking about that in here?
Yeah. The Force Awakens, I think it is.
Yeah.
No, we didn't bring that up.
Not in the podcast. We were talking about it
over
an hour ago.
Actually, here's something funny. I think on the way to the Linkara panel, I saw this guy cosplaying as Trunks, and he had a little sign in front of him, and it said, "I apologize for Dragon Ball GT."
Yeah.
That's a good one. Yeah. I don't know. I guess there's really not much else to talk about as far as
actually, I got a question for all you guys. What's your best Youmacon memory? And this can be from any year.
Best memory?
I think that's a loaded question for some of us.
I'm not sure if I would just say it's a memory or anything like that. The first time I actually did a cosplay, it was just kind of something I threw together, and I wasn't expecting too much of a really good impression of it. But like I had so many people like stop me and take pictures of me and everything else like that. They really enjoyed it. They thought it looked awesome. So like for me as a starting up cosplayer, it was a fantastic year. I was ecstatic about the whole thing. So like as I had to choose a memory, it's like I'd say that entire weekend really just walking around in cosplay.
Who are you dressed as?
I was Lord Death from Soul Eater.
I figured that's what you were gonna.
Yeah, the main thing of it, the main thing I spent any time whatsoever on was the mask, and it does look pretty sick.
It does look good. Yeah.
The rest of it not so much, but I mean like still loved it. I'm gonna keep working on that thing. I'm gonna make it perfect eventually. It's gonna happen.
I'd say the first character I cosplayed too was sort of like that. The first one I went as was Lewis from Left 4 Dead. Except
I'm surprised you didn't do that this year, because I know you switch for each day you do a different one.
Yeah, except I hadn't actually played any of the Left 4 Dead games before then.
Yeah.
Of course, now I have, but then I didn't. So
you can just like the picture. That's all.
When everyone just kept saying pills, grabbing pills around me, I had no idea what they were talking about.
Okay.
I think mine is honestly from this one, because I got a picture with Ian Sinclair, and that's like he's the only person, like voice actor, I actually got to meet at any of the conventions, because any other time I'm honestly not that interested, but like I love Space Dandy, and if I could have, I would have took a picture with Steve Blum too, because like I love Cowboy Bebop, so I fortunately got to meet like the actual Space Dandy. I got a picture with him, so that would kind of have to be my favorite.
Yeah.
But other than that, I think just I don't know, some of the great panels.
And by the way, thing about the guests, I saw the opening ceremonies where they introduced everyone.
Yeah.
It was this really long thing.
Yeah.
And then as soon as I left the opening ceremonies, right then and there, I forgot everyone that was just announced.
Yeah.
I'm not a person who's good with names and faces. I've said it once, and I'll say it again. I could walk by someone famous, like I could bump into Johnny Young Bosch, and not give it a second look. Someone could say it. Someone could tell me a few minutes later, and I'll be like, "Wait, I just bumped into who?"
Oh, actually, I got a really good story about that. Okay, so it was Youmacon 2012, right? And me and my friend were on the People Mover. While we're on the People Mover, I happened to come across Masako X, who, if you don't know, voices Goku and Gohan in Dragon Ball Z Abridged. Mm-hmm. And my friend is like a big fan of DBZ Abridged and Team 4-Star in general. So at first I'm just shooting the shit with him. I'm like, should I tell everybody else that Masako X is on the People Mover? And he's like, no, I don't care. Go right ahead. And so then I decide to like play around with him and ask a bunch of questions with him in character as Goku. I remember asking him if he ever took Chi-Chi to that one place on Iguana Street, and I forget what the answer was. I remember it was like no, but it was like on some other street or something. And I also remembered asking him, Christmas is coming up, right? And then Masako just gives me the biggest grin ever. And I'm just like, and he's just like, yay! And so after all that happens, we get off the People Mover, and you're not gonna believe this, my friend misses the whole thing. And I guess you can call me an asshole for that, for saying, hey, if your friend's a big fan of DBZ Abridged and Masako X was on the People Mover, why didn't you tell him?
If he was such a big fan, he should have known. You should have just sensed it.
Yeah.
But I think it was a good convention this year. I'm excited to see what they do. Mostly, I think the thing I'm excited for most from the Youmacon people is what they do for next year's Midwest. Because we've had Youmacon. This was the 10th year for Youmacon. And Midwest is their new thing. So, like, they had their thing like they do at any convention. Like, this is the next convention. So they had a thing showing some of the guests. But I'm excited to see how it is, because I enjoyed it. I like the guests they had earlier this year, so I'm excited to see how they do.
Oh
with Midwest year 2, I guess. But I definitely enjoyed this one. I'm looking forward to next year's Youmacon. Hopefully we get schedules in the book. But I still enjoyed it overall. And
maybe they could start a Kickstarter for schedules in the book. You know, they can produce like a $10,000 like Kickstarter video. It's like, hello, I'm the guy who runs Kickstarter, and a lot of our patrons are complaining to us that there are no schedules in the programs. Well, that's why we're coming to you. We want you to donate to us in order to put schedules into our programs. If you give us a $10 pledge,
it's a bad idea.
No, actually, better yet, if you give us a $50 pledge, we'll put you on our thank you list for the program at the end of the book.
You know, some people actually do that, right?
Yes, that's.
they usually. I wouldn't, not 50, but $10.
We'll rip it up in front of you. We'll laugh at you because what are we going to do with the dollar?
If you donate $100 at the end, at the closing ceremony, we'll put you in the special thanks video.
We'll give you a piece of a beard.
It's like, and if you give us $10,000, we'll give you a 3-day pass.
Fun fact this year, if you donated $100 at the closing ceremonies, you got a part of someone's beard. So,
interesting.
Yep, fun fact.
And if you give us $200,000, we'll give you a piece of the aggro crag. Don't ask how we got it. We just know you'll pay for it.
But a good convention. I'm excited for next year. Definitely excited for Midwest year 2. So. Thanks for listening, everybody. If you guys have any comments on what you guys did at Youmacon, favorite panels, least favorite panels, if you saw one you just hated it, just the convention in general, what you guys are excited for, put those down in the comments below. And, of course, thank you guys for listening.